Hi, this is Neil Walters. Did you lose your job or did your contract just end? Don't panic. In this video, I'm going to give you some of my tips on how to deal with that. I just basically got off of 6 weeks where I had no work, and this happens to me every year or two because I'm a contractor, and that's what I want to talk about is how you deal with that in this video. So I'm starting this new channel to help people who either want to break free from IT or they want to break through in IT. So my website's going to be called breakfreefromit.com. But I also want to help people do better and make more money and to be more successful and live better lives who do work in IT. I've been a consultant since 1996. I was an employee for 16 years before that. So I have over 37, 38 years of IT experience and 20 years as a contractor. I currently specialize in B2B and Microsoft BizTalk middleware integration. Most of my contracts last about a year or two, so I'm used to finding a new position that often. You will probably learn better if you take notes from this video, but actually I'm going to put all my notes here in my blog, which is going to be breakfreefromit.com, and you can go there and get this information there. I take a lot of notes on Evernote myself when I'm watching videos on the internet, and I think I have like 3,000 notes inside of Evernote. So I'm an avid note taker, and that's a way for me to learn. So first of all, when you're out of work, number one, obviously you're going to update your resume. So first of all, you might want to keep your resume updated ahead of time. And another trick, especially if you're a contractor, is rather than the company leaving you, why don't you leave the company? In other words, it's always easier to find a job when you have a job. That's an old expression. Now, I don't know how true that is, but maybe you're not as motivated, but when you leave a company and you have another job starting the next week, or maybe take a week off just for fun and then start a new job, you're not out of work anytime and you just make a smooth transition. So if possible, you want to play it that way. So you kind of have to know the politics and know if they're getting ready to change or not. Now, like a lot of places I work, again, after a year or so or two, they think, oh, we pay these contractors too much and we could hire an employee to do the same thing for less. And then lots of times I train the employees and then they get rid of me. So that's just the joy of being a contractor. But I like it, and I like it because I work in different companies. I get more experience this way. It's like I never do the same thing twice. So it really does help your resume, I think, a lot, and I enjoy it. It may not be for you, but so after you lose your job, of course, you want to file for unemployment. What you make is going to be dependent upon what your unemployment amount is going to be is based upon, how much you've paid into unemployment, how much you're making in the past. Now, just as an example, this is no clue of what you're actually going to get. I'm going to get I've been getting about 500 a week during my recent time off. Okay, and that's with the Oklahoma Unemployment Commission. You want to spend about a day on your financial analysis, figure out what you can cut. Now, like I have a business and I have a lot of things nowadays are these PayPal subscriptions, and you sign up for something and it might be $29 a month, $67 a month. I've even had some things that are like $199 or more a month. And some of those things you just kind of forget about, to be honest. So I always go through my PayPal logs and I find out exactly what I'm being charged for and if it's something I'm using or not. So often you're going to find out, oh yeah, I haven't used that for 3 months, so why are you still paying for it, right? Or the gym membership is a famous example. You pay whatever $30 a month, or I pay like I think 80 some dollars a month for a yoga membership, but I do go. But if you're don't going, if you're not going, just get rid of that, okay? So then look at your savings and your funds that are available. I know kind of in the past now that it's going to take me about 4 to 6 weeks to find a new job. I mean, 4 to 8 weeks. That's probably the average. Now, of course, it could go longer and it could be shorter. So I need to have that much savings and I need to plan ahead, obviously, for that. And what I do is I put my money in different places. Now, T. Harv Eker has a very interesting system he calls the JAR system. And that's something we're going to talk about in a future video. But even for the savings, I have different jars. So like I have my IRA, I have a whole life insurance plan, which is some people call that self-banking, where you can take a loan against your own bank. I have obviously a checking and a savings account. Then I have a Fidelity, like a money market account, and sometimes I'll put that in stocks, sometimes I won't. And then recently I've been investing in Bitcoin. So I put several $100s in that, or maybe a thousand or two. But anyway, that's actually tripled over the last whatever it is, 3 to 6 months. So it's a little more of a gamble, I guess. But I have these money in different places, and I kind of make a mental note. Okay, if I need to pay the rent in February, I'm going to take it out of my savings. And if my savings exhausted, I'm going to dip into my IRA. And if my IRA is exhausted, then I will dip into whatever account. So you kind of just have your plan, and that just lets you relax. If you know what you're going to do, and you say, okay, I've got 3 months to find a job, you're still going to work hard at it, but you're not going to like be in a panic all the time. Now, next tip is to use the websites Monster and Dice if you are a consultant slash contractor. If you're an employee, which I've not been for 20 years, I'm sure there are other websites that will be helpful. I like these two websites because there's a checkbox on there that says I'm only interested in contracting jobs or part-time or whatever W-2, but I'm not interested personally in full-time. I found a long time ago that I just have contractor mentality. I like to get in, do my job, get out, have less politics. I'm not a company man. I have my own side businesses. I don't want them telling me what I can do and not do. I'm able to get my own insurance. I'm a big boy. I don't need them to do that for me, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all concepts that I want to teach you about on this channel. And I'm not saying you have to be a contractor, but you should be aware of these types of things. Like, should you have a 1099? Should you be incorporated or have an LLC? Those are all topics for future videos. So today I'm going to try to stick on this topic and not go off too far, okay? So again, I have not been an employee since 1996. Okay, the first few days after you get, let's call it laid off, just for lack of a better word, you're going to spend a lot of time doing all this stuff. And we're going to talk about LinkedIn here in a minute, but you're going to be doing some of these websites, updating your resume, calling a few recruiters, whatever. And it's going to take a lot of time. But then after 3, 4, 5 days, to me, it drops off a lot. And then it's only going to take maybe 1 to 3 hours a day, depending on how you choose to do it. In my position, I'm relying on recruiters to find my jobs for me. And I hate to say I just sit back and wait for them to call, but it almost works that way. I mean, finding a job today or contract is just totally different than it was 20, 30 years ago. You don't have to really write letters and send out resumes and stuff, at least with what I do. And I'm sure almost everything in IT is kind of that way. These guys are scraping these websites, looking at your resume, and unfortunately, you get a bunch of junk calls for like I got certified in Java like 15 years ago, and I find these jobs that say, oh, we need a Java, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, that's not what I do. So they obviously don't read your resume; they just spam you. So anyway, I wait on them to call me a lot of the time. I mean, I'll talk about how you can reach out here in just a few minutes, but it may only take an hour or two today to actually do your job hunting. So the next major point I'm going to have here is what are you going to do with all the rest of your time? So number one is I want you to get more training. Now there's two big websites that I suggest. One is Pluralsight, I think it's .com, and it's $29 a month, or you can pay an annual fee. And they have, I think, over 1,000 courses, if not 2,000 or 3,000. It's incredible. They have courses on like how to be a Cisco network administrator. They have courses on C#, Python, Java, all the different JavaScripts, Angular, and the web and GUI development and design. And they have Oracle and SQL and almost everything you could think of. And then there's a site called Udemy as well. And there you buy the course one at a time. Now, if you just check the main prices, they may be $50 to $150. But the trick is they have a sale like every week or two. And if you can wait and get them on sale, they're typically at $10 or $15 a course. So Pluralsight's probably actually the better deal. One of the things, just for instance, I've been studying on Udemy is Bitcoin, Ethereum, smart contracts, and the blockchain. So that's something that's, coming in, it's already kind of here, but I think it's coming down the pike, and that's something I might be working on in a year or two, who knows. So you can also go to a paid class, go to maybe a Microsoft certified training center or whatever fits your area of expertise. If you're an Oracle guy, go to an Oracle class. Consider also doing some small gigs, either for free or for charity is one interesting way you can do it. But you can also go to sites like freelancer.com, upwork.com, I think there's still guru.com, and you can look what people are asking for help on, and you can bid on those. And since you're not working anyway, you could bid low and take some work, and then maybe stretch yourself to learn something slightly outside of your normal skill set. So go deeper into your existing skills or add some new skills. And just an example, I'm and this applies to the training as well. So I'm a BizTalk developer. So I look at it the last couple of years, and every once in a while I see like that's a job I want. And I'm reading the requirements, and it says, oh, they want BizTalk, they want like whatever FTP, REST, JSON, and then it'll say they want Oracle. I'm like, Oracle? I don't know Oracle, and now I do because last job I had, I was able to use some Oracle. But that's something I've seen over and over. Not every resume, it's like, but maybe 10, 20% of the job descriptions, they want BizTalk and Oracle. So that would be a natural thing for me to add on to what I already know. Another example might be Unix. Every once in a while, they want a middleware integration guy, and maybe BizTalk is just one of the tools he works with, and they want you to be a Unix administrator as well. And that's something I really don't know much about. So that, for me, those are a couple of things, ways I could expand. I was a Microsoft certified trainer about 15 years ago, so I was an MCSE, Microsoft certified engineer, Microsoft certified database, Microsoft certified solution developer. So I already have a lot of those types of stuff. In Boston, for example, when my contract was ended there, I checked around, and they were actually starting to use Scrum in the place I worked. And we were putting the yellow stickies up on the board and all that kind of stuff. So I was interested in Scrum, and I checked around. And sure enough, like a week and a half after I was laid off there, there was a Scrum class in Boston with Jeff Sutherland, who was actually one of the creators and founders of Scrum. And he was there in the class live, had my picture taken with him, had that on one of my websites, and there were maybe 50, 60 people in the class. They treated us well, and we became certified Scrum Masters by taking a quick little test after the class. So that was a very good experience, and now I have that on my resume. Now, back to job hunting strategies. Here's some other ideas you might want to do is, first of all, go to your LinkedIn profile. Of course, you're on LinkedIn, right? And you want to include your primary skills along with a word such as seeking in your title line. So for example, I could say seeking BizTalk developer or seeking BizTalk architect. Or I could reverse it and say BizTalk architect / developer parentheses seeking or looking. So let people know that you're looking. Sometimes people who have a job, they'll put the word open in there just to mean that they're open to talking about new opportunities. So on LinkedIn, this may surprise you, I have about 3,500 connections. Now that's not been overnight. I took some courses on LinkedIn. I became what's called a LION, L-I-O-N, which is a LinkedIn Open Networker. And that means you accept anybody that sends you an invitation. So even if it's recruiters in India that I've never heard of before, I accept, accept, accept. One reason you do that is it opens you to be able to connect to their second and third level connections. And so when you're out of work, what you can do is you can go to LinkedIn and say, let's use BizTalk as an example again. I can type in BizTalk Dallas, and it's going to give me the people who work in Dallas, and then I can start connecting with them. And and sometimes on LinkedIn, you'll only connect with people if you know them. But once you have this connection thing going on, you can connect with second and third level connections just by clicking a link. And then it'll send them and say, do you want to connect back to this guy? And most people, at least 80% of them, will probably accept your invitation. And then the more BizTalk guys you know, the more you'll see, and you'll connect again deeper, and then the more you'll see, and so on. I've been doing this in some other of my side businesses as well, having to do with search engine optimization and lead generation. And anyway, that's a quick summary of some things you can do on LinkedIn. Now, the next point would be to start networking. You can go to local groups such as meetups or even tip clubs, things like that, but go to meetup.com and, for instance, look for .NET developer group or something like that, or Java developer group or Oracle DBAs or whatever it is you do. Find meetups on that and go attend, and then don't just sit there, get around and shake hands with people and tell them you're looking. Sometimes the recruiters are there, by the way, too. Sometimes they host the meetings, like the .NET user group here in Irving. The recruiters actually provide like barbecue or something, so you get a free meal too. Okay, call up people that you've worked with in the past. Of course, that's a form of networking. Hopefully you built good relationships, and you just call those people and say, hey, by the way, I'm open now, I'm available, my job ended, I'm looking, what do you know, who do you know, that type of thing. And then they might give you some contacts. Now, money-wise, select an amount and kind of write it down or get it in your head of how much you want to make. And not just how much you want to make, but what's the minimum amount you'll make? Because these recruiters are going to call you and they're going to say, I have a position so-and-so, and it's and usually they don't say the rate, and I say, well, how much is it? Because I know that 80% of them aren't going to be the rate that I want or need, or have become accustomed to, as they say, right? So um, they give me a low rate, and I'm to the point now I just laugh at them. I'm like saying, "You're kidding? You want me to go to Philadelphia for $45 an hour or whatever?" I'm like, "No way! I don't do that, or even 60, right?" So I kind of have three rates in my head. I have a work at home rate, I have a work local rate, and then I have a work out of town rate. So for example, I actually worked in, just to let you know, I've worked in Fort Lauderdale, Colorado Springs, Santa Fe, San Francisco, Boston, and I lived in Puerto Rico for a while too. So those are some of the places I worked out of town. So I'm used to that. I usually do what's called all-inclusive. That's a contractor term. And so in future videos, I'll talk about being an employee versus a contractor. And even with a contractor, you can be a W-2 or 1099, and then you can have them pay expenses or you can pay expenses. I've done it both ways. I kind of like paying my own expenses, believe it or not. It's just less paperwork, and I can stay where I want. I don't have to get approvals, all that kind of stuff. So again, I kind of have contractor mentality. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but like I was saying, there's less politics in the office. I don't need them to tell me what kind of health plan I want to get. I can get that on my own. I don't need them to do my retirement. I can do that on my own. So I'm just kind of a do it on myself guy. If I want to have a part-time evening job, I don't want them to tell me I can't do it, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I'm a contractor. Now, the last step has to do with your mental and spiritual life, basically. Catch up on your life. You have this time off now. So if you've done the work above, you should have some faith and confidence that you're going to get a job in a certain amount of time. It may take 4, 6, 8 weeks or whatever, but you're going to get a job. So what are you going to do in this time off? So we talked about training and learning. That's one. But someday just go to a museum or go to a baseball game, whatever it is you do. Go do something with your family. Go ride a bike. Go exercise. Go to the gym more. That type of thing. Then in kind of the physical slash spiritual realm, maybe you want to try yoga, Tai Chi, karate, Qigong, or meditation. And you can find a lot of free stuff on YouTube if you want to learn more about that. If you don't know anything about meditation, I have some affirmations that I like to give you, and I have them over on my website, which again is breakfreefromit.com. And they're kind of they're not specific to any religion, but they're kind of like, they have to do with the creator and the universe and all that kind of stuff. And that just reminds you that you're a powerful being and that kind of thing. And if you say those to yourself, like in the morning and the evening, you'll really find that it can affect your life, and you can be a more positive and a more vibrant person, and you don't have to worry as much. So that's something I want to share with you, and you can go to my website and get it. Get in touch with the real you during your time off. And if, again, a future video, I'll talk about specifically what's happened to me the last 6 weeks. It's just been a fun and interesting experience. I always enjoy my time off between jobs. It lets me catch up on some of my other side businesses, but also on my spiritual life and a lot of different websites. Just for example, last year I signed up with this guy. He calls himself the Urban Monk, and his name is Dr. Pedram Shojai. And I signed up for like his membership site, and he has a Facebook fan page which I had signed up for, but I didn't have the little alerts turned on, so I didn't notice that he was actually putting out like a video every day. So he does these little qigong videos. So now that I'm working at home, every 2 or 3 hours I'll get up and maybe do something like that, because this is another thing I want to talk to you about. As a programmer, sitting all day long is like a form of death, right? Your body was not made to sit in this position all day. I'm sitting making the video now. I could be up moving around, but it makes the video recording a little harder. So you want to, like, I even have a stand-up desk at home. I can move my desk. I got one of those automated ones. So again, I'll share that with you more in the future. But get up and maybe do some movement, do some stretches, whatever it is you do or learn how to do, and don't just sit there all day. The last thing I think I want to mention is read some books that you've been intending to read. Of course, you could read IT books, but you might want to go through whatever other books that have been on your list, or go through some, turn my phone off there, go through some courses that you've been putting off, and catch up on life and enjoy your life, and figure out who it is you really are. To me, it is a very deeply spiritual time where I'm like, what is my purpose in life? Is it just to go drive to a job and do biz talk all day long? Or is there something above and beyond that? And I believe there is something above and beyond that. And that's where I'm working myself to. and I'll be glad to share that with you also in the future. So I don't want these videos to just kind of go on and on forever. I want each one to have a specific topic, and today's topic was how to deal with being laid off and what you're going to do in the weeks to follow, and I think I've covered that. So again, go to my website, breakfreefromit.com, and you can see all my notes from this lecture basically, and then also get the affirmation meditation guide that I was referring to. And as of today, this is actually March 3rd, 2017. I don't even have that website up yet, but I'm going to be working on that over the next probably week, at least put a shell of a website up and get those documents there for you. So thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss any of these other topics if this is the type of thing you want to learn. If it's not, well, okay, thanks. But anyway, thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.